so just for the record, this meeting is being audio recorded in accordance with council policy. So if you're asking a public question or making a statement or deputation to the meeting, this will be audio recorded. Members of the public are reminded that no other visual or audio recording of this meeting by any means is allowed. With that, I officially open the meeting and ask for a record of attendance, Mr. CEO.
Yes, we have apologies from Councillor West and Councillor O'Brien.
Thank you. So, 4 councillors plus myself in attendance and Mrs. Kath Painter in the gallery. We'll move to item 2, question time. I'm assuming, Kath, you're not asking council a question? No. Previous response to responses to previous questions taken on notice.
There is
nil. Okay, applications for leave of absence. All right, I wish to apply for leave of absence for the August and September meeting.
Probably not.
No? Thank you. Councillor Kilpatrick has moved. Councillor Chilcott seconds. Leave of absence be accepted. There is no dissent. That is carried, absolutely. Thank you. Petitions and deputations. Kath, you wish to speak to council at all?
No, no.
You're just here observing?
I am, yes.
All right. Kath, as you may realise, councillors, is our anointed chair of the Audit and Risk Committee. Has come along to this evening to watch your performance and your behaviour. Put you all on notice, so she will be far stronger than I am as a chair of meetings. Okay, we'll move on. Disclosure of interests.
Mr. President, I would note that I have declared a financial interest in the entirety of item 6.2. The nature and type of interest as relates to my employment. I've also declared an impartiality interest later in the piece on item 8.1.9, the proposed group dwellings, because as we're effectively the applicant on that.
Okay. Duly noted. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 6, councillors, and 6.1 being a recommendation that the unconfirmed minutes of the ordinary meeting of council on Tuesday 23rd of June be confirmed. Councillor Chilcott has moved, Councillor Kilpatrick second. Any queries of the minutes? Any dissent? Take that as carried. There are 5 of us, 5 and 0. The minutes of the CEO Employment Committee held 21st of July, and there's a recommendation the council receives. Councillor Chilcott again has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Reid. Is there any questions? Any consent? There, that carried 5 and 0. All right, there are some recommendations coming out of that committee. They flow through together. So, councillors, if you wish, you can move all 3 in block. Councillor Kilpatrick has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Longmuir. Any questions, first of all? If not, perhaps I might just raise the issue.
Mr. President,
Yes.
sorry, the Local Government Act does require this to go behind closed doors if it is to be discussed. It's not a discretionary matter, so just noting that we do have a public gallery and officers in attendance.
All right, thank you, Mr. CEO. In which case, if there's no further requests from council, I won't say any further other than to put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? It's carried, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Thank you.
All right, announcements from the President. I don't have any announcements as such at this moment, but a couple of comments that will appear later in the agenda. So we'll move on to item 8.1.1, being the monthly financial report. And there's a recommendation. Councillor Receive, you're moving, Councillor Reid. Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kilpatrick. Manager of Finance, or at the end of a financial year, is there anything you need to expand upon?
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. The question that I raised, Mr. CEO, through notice of question, I suppose it was, well answered, I thought, and it was interesting information, I have to say. I thought it challenged us a little bit in our thinking that we're managing our roads program to a higher level than the rest of our assets, for better or for worse. I'll raise a further question on it now. Question without notice, I suppose, but the maintenance that we do on our buildings and grounds and the likes, to what level does that then become a depreciable item?
Mr. President, the only items that become depreciable are capital items. Those capital items are essentially renewal or new or upgrades. They are capitalised against the assets and they increase the value of the assets and depreciate from there. So any operational costs don't actually add to our asset base and therefore don't get impacted by the don't impact on the depreciation.
And by the same token, they don't form part of our equity. They don't raise the equity through improving the asset.
Well, the equity is impacted by both in a way, because the equity is impacted really by the net result, and that's sort of expenditure and income. So the net result of operating expenditure and income is one of the impacts into the equity, and the other input is the transfer to and from reserves. So it's really more that operating net result that is impacting the decrease over time in the equity because of the higher depreciation under the sort of current regime of fair value accounting and getting our assets revalued every 5 years and raising the asset values and increasing depreciation. So it's the paradox, I suppose, of the local government accounting, that it's actually, unless we keep up it's going to happen anyway. It's going to result in our equity reducing over time.
I mean, it's largely a book entry, the depreciation, it's a book entry. I do remember sitting in this room 15 years ago and some consultants of the day told us that we would be absolutely broke by now because we needed to, under the depreciation schedule, replace the town hall by about now. And, the estimated cost of that was a little out of our reach, to put it mildly. So, it is a book entry.
That was why I was saying that in the response that really all of this stuff is sort of, is that the important side is working out whether in fact our capital expenditure is actually keeping up with the real depreciation, not just the book entry depreciation. So whilst it's important to sort of, try and get depreciation reasonably accurate, it's really what's happening out on the ground, and keeping up with what's actually degrading the roads, buildings in particular.
Yeah, okay, so it may well be in that case that our spending is appropriate, that we're, because a degraded road, gets to a point of no return fairly rapidly, whereas some of our buildings, while they may not be pristine as they were the day they were built, they're still functional.
it is a difficult and complex sort of area because, it's a, and the way that buildings are valued and they're valued at sort of replacement cost, and there's many buildings out there that, you wouldn't necessarily replace if something happened to them. So it's a bit of a false reading to some degree.
So separating what the spreadsheet tells you versus
Yep.
perhaps the eye test and the lived experience is one of the habits that the Shire and every Shire and every government entity, probably people in general, do for that matter, is that we fix things when they are broken. We don't necessarily look after them to keep them maintained as much as we should in the process. So in the recent rains, and yes, amazingly there was some recent rains recently, CEO's office flooded. And it flooded because the gutters hadn't been cleared in years and it seeped through the roof and came in the office. Now, there was a case of us, we had the elevated work platform hired for a week that we were giving a test, and the guys went up there and cleared all the gutters, and it rained again and no water came in because lo and behold, the gutters worked. Now, that didn't appear in any spreadsheets, but it didn't reflect that we knew we hadn't cleaned the gutters for some time. We know there's gutters around the place we haven't cleaned in some time. It's been part of that mentality is actually, I suppose, prioritising what we can do, prioritising what we can do with either contractors or the current stuff we have, prioritising what we can do with the money that we have, and prioritising what is the best bang for the buck.
Yeah. Yeah, all right, look, I'm comfortable. I think it, did expose some interesting points. Councillors, any further thoughts?
Oh, just a couple ones on that. I mean, the valuation of the buildings every 5 years, when was that? The answer to the question I was going to ask about how it's valued by replacement value, but yeah, when was it last valued and when?
It was about 4 years ago, so by the end of this current financial year, we will have to have all the buildings, land and buildings revalued.
Right.
And so we're just sort of finalising a request for quote for valuation firms at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
And I suspect, please correct me if I'm wrong, that may result in some unpleasant numbers.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're expecting that valuations always increase. So insurance will increase and depreciation will increase as well.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We used to have to do all of our assets, plant, furniture, equipment, infrastructure, roads, drainage, footpaths, but we still have to do most of it, but we don't have to do the plant and the furniture anymore, which is good. You're welcome.
Bit of a nightmare.
There's one less change, so
I understand. All right, anything further?
No, we'll talk about, but I'll talk about another time about ratios. Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other thoughts, councillors, or questions of the manager of finance? Is there any requirement? If not, I have a mover and a seconder that we receive the financial report. There is no dissent. Put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? That's carried absolutely. Item 8.1.2 on page 51 is a recommendation that we receive the statement of payments for the month of June. Councillor Longmuir has moved, Councillor Kilpatrick seconds. Any questions of those payments? Anything further, manager?
No.
Okay. Any dissent on the motion? Declare that carried 5-0. We move on to page 58. CEO's activity report. The recommendation that council notes the CEO's report for the month. Councillor Chilcott has moved. Councillor Reid seconds. CEO, anything you wish to add?
Beyond the elements in the actual report, today Councillor Chipcock and I attended the Fordo EDL meeting in Lake Grace. It was, I think, one of the more interesting 4WL meetings that we've had in some time. So some time ago, the 4WL adopted a strategic plan that had 6 different priority areas. Since that time, I think there'd been a growing feeling in the group that it had kind of lost focus, that there were 6 projects that were assigned to 6 different local governments, and that actually it was working against the ambition of working together, because everyone would go away and not do a lot because they were busy, and then come back and talk about the little things that they'd done to progress it. And it was going to the point that, frankly, the meetings had seemed to have lost a bit of value. In March, I nominated as the secretary of the group, in part to try and drive it in a bit of a positive direction. And working with the shop president at West Arthur, presented an item for that group to have a think about a singular project that the group could focus on. There was a great discussion, and the group identified that development of commercial and industrial land in a manner that was similar to the housing project was a common interest amongst the member local governments. And so, initiatives to combat land banking, to increase government funding for headworks and the like, to identify strategic parcels of land, to overcome the barriers to land development. Something in that space was the project that everyone could agree on that wanted to work on. And much like the 4WDL project, there was an agreement that if we, in the first instance, had a consultant prepare a paper like the one that was done for the housing project, that would actually identify a discrete set of projects and discrete work for that group to build upon. Some of the local governments involved, particularly Williams and Darkin, have had minor successes in this space, and I think that bringing in the expertise from around that table will be actually really beneficial for this shire in particular.
All right, sounds encouraging.
It was a very informative meeting. The only thing I'd like to add, as well as the other one that was discussed as well, was staff sharing.
Okay.
We discussed that quite at length, and the only council that didn't want to participate was Black Grace.
Which is probably has much to do with the distance factor, and that's been consistent with the conversations that we've had with the Wagrants in the past there as well. Everyone's at different stages, but that was again something that we agreed that we would take offline as a CEO discussion point, reflecting that depending on the council and the culture of that council, it might be a sensitive topic for some more than others. So, but that's. Yeah, I came away from that 40-hour meeting thinking that, yep, it's worthwhile again.
Good. Good. I think it has been drifting for a fair period of time now, so yeah, well done. Good outcome.
It was a good meeting.
All right. Any questions of the CEO and his report?
Just want to be at last meeting, we met a couple of the interns, so they've already finished the report, they're still working on it?
Yes, no, they've finished their reports, and again, a very successful round of internships. And happy to share those reports with council. I think,
Good. Look forward to it. Are they coming shortly?
yeah, we can sprint around. Yes,
Very good to see. Yeah, well,
All right. Any further? Being no further questions, I have a recommendation. Move Councillor Chilcott, second to Councillor Reid, that council notes the report. If there's no dissent, I'll declare that carried, absolutely. We'll move on to item 8.1.4. We're right, are we?
Yes.
Yeah, on page 62, which is the budget. Before I go there, Mr. CEO, do you wish to expand?
Yes, I'd point council to the correspondence I sent post the initial publication of the agenda, which relates to the changes to the budget, or the draft budget, following the end of the financial year. I would want council to be aware of each of those. I'll just bring those up so I can scan through them myself. Right. That's okay. I'll give just a second. Just on the website here. Okay, so essentially, the anticipated financial position of the Shire since the last budget workshop has improved. There are two reasons for that. One is that we received a higher than anticipated financial assistance grant funding. And the second was that there was a combination of positive and negative changes at the end of the year calculation. So that was a net positive, although not all of the things that went into that were actual positives. Some of the things that resulted in negative there was we're proposing some additional expenditure for sports ground because we actually already in July have already had some expenses associated with floodlight repairs, and we anticipate that those are going to be more of them. That idea of when one lot goes, others tend to go in quick succession. We have incidentally received some informal advice that the state government election commitment for sports ground lighting is probably still 2 years away.
Oh, jeez.
But 2 years is better than no years, or 4 years. We've had some changes to the CHSP, and there's been a line item in the budget for $40,000 for the CCTV project following the Shire's successful grant application through that state government process. So with those changes, there's a net positive position of $70,000, which officers propose to use to reduce the amount of the staff accommodation loan from $450,000 down to $400,000, and transfer $20,000 to the refuse site rehabilitation reserve. And council would recall at the last meeting that waste closure plan was adopted, which identified that we needed to be putting away funds for that. At the time that the council adopted that report, we didn't have a funding amount for this financial year, but given that we have received the income from the financial assistance grants, it seemed appropriate to start putting away that money for that purpose.
Right. All right.
And there are no other changes to the proposed budget other than the ones that we've workshopped.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. CEO. That's the latest update of the budget, councillors. So there is on page 62 an extensive recommendation that goes across to page 64. All in one recommendation. How do you wish to deal, councillors? You move on the recommendation as written, Councillor Kilpatrick. Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Reid. All right. I'm noting no response to the advertisement with regards to the valuation or the differential rating at least.
No,
right?
there was
There were none.
no submission of that.
Okay, so we're, the community's in full agreement with what we're doing. Having, the motion has been moved and seconded, is there anyone who wishes to speak against? That being the case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? There are none, so that budget is carried absolutely. And might I then, Mr. CEO, just congratulate you and your staff on putting the budget together. Great outcome, a lot of work gone into that, I realise, from Deputy CEO, Manager of Finance, etc. So, yes, well done.
Mr. President, I do really want to acknowledge the Manager of Finance, who did such an incredible job with putting the budget together, and it's obviously a team effort, but our Manager of Finance has lived and breathed the budget for many months now, so yeah. Really well
Right,
done.
all right, thank you. Can I also note, just for the record, Mr. CEO, I did some quick sums based on last year's financials and the budget to discover and you changed my sum today or yesterday with a response to my question at least, but I discovered that over the whole entity, we were within 1.5% of the budget. So the outcome is within 1.5% of the budget over the whole entity, the whole year's spending, which is remarkably good, I have to say. It shows the quality of our budgeting, so well done to the finance staff once again. And I could also add, just before he leaves, the outside staff part of this, the manager of works, in my calculations at least, was within 1.2% of his budgeted figure. So, well done. In a year, as we all know, when the bombs started floating around the Middle East and the goalpost shifted quite dramatically, to be that close still is an absolute credit. So to staff all around, well done.
Thank you.
So we'll move on. I want to make point 1.5 on page 132. It's the Walga AGM and convention. Officer's recommendation there.
Does require some names to be filled in.
Does require some names to be filled in. I am not able to attend the event this year. So Councillor Kilpatrick has indicated that he is able to attend. And Councillor Longmuir has said that he's not able to attend. So Councillors Chilcott and Reid, are you considering attending?
I could if we're going to send 3.
It's entirely up to you. What I'd suggest, maybe if you wish to attend, and we normally do look at a proxy arrangement, which is not in the motion, Mr. CEO.
It's point 2 in the motion.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
So that's, so I guess the two elements to it are the voting delegates at the AGM.
Yes.
And then we don't actually necessarily need to appoint the councillors that are actually going to be at the convention itself. So part 3 of it is that any elected members wishing to attend, and myself, to be effectively being authorised by council to have that expenditure
Right.
laid out. So that the nominated ones are going to be the ones that we need to go to Wellborough and say, these are our people for the AGM.
Carrying our voting.
That's correct,
Right,
yes.
okay. All right. Councillor Reid, Councillor Chilcott.
I'm not able to commit straight away. I need to discuss it
Okay.
due to work commitments.
Okay. Councillor Reid. What's the deadline, Mr. CEO?
Only, I think it's August. But it can be changed fairly late in the piece, and I do aware that on occasion CEOs have been put into that role as well. So while the officer's recommendation says, point 2 CR, it could easily be CR under in a pinch as well.
Yeah.
Look, I think I could go. It's
Okay.
not a problem.
Okay. All right, well, let's write in there if we can then, and this will be a motion from the floor. Councillor Kilpatrick, Councillor Reid, and a proxy, Councillor Chilcott. All right. That being the case, is the councillor prepared to move along those lines? Chilcott, move. Seconder, Councillor Longmuir, independence, I love it. Is there any dissent on the motion? So we declare that carried. Well done, councillors. Okay, item 8.1.6, draft submission to the Standing Committee on Community Affairs, Supported Homes. CEO, do you wish to expand? There's a bit going on this space.
Yes, absolutely. So I learned actually recently, actually, after the last council meeting, that there was a Senate inquiry into CHSP. And I was a bit actually annoyed myself for not realising that there was a standing inquiry into that, given our investment in that space and the importance of that in that space. And doing some research, I found out that it was formed in November and called for submissions in December. And those submissions closed in around January, which was a fairly busy time for the Shire, and for obviously a time where folks tend to not be checking emails as much and not see things as much either. So we didn't receive any correspondence telling us there was an inquiry either. We did miss the vote on that one. However, in parallel to that, there is an inquiry into supported home, and as council would know that home care, effectively there are two forms of home care program, and they're running parallel inquiries, and one affects the other, and so the suggested submission that officers have prepared is based on CHSP and supported home. The Senate's recommendation, the committee's recommendations in relation to CHSP are probably a little bit disturbing for the Shire, in the sense that it recommends a continuation of the reform program, but a holding, like a holding of the current status, that effectively that more delays in implementing the reform program, which we're in this period where that actually hurts us more than assists us. So the submission is a confidential attachment, and the reason for that is that the Parliament binds submissions under parliamentary privilege, and we did receive some lovely correspondence from the Commonwealth Government informing us that we'd be going to jail if we didn't remove certain submissions from our website, because we presented them to council and dutifully obeyed by the WA Act, but the Commonwealth Act trumpets it. So we're not going to make that mistake again this time, and that's why it's a confidential attachment until, of course, it actually gets approved by Parliament to be published, and then it can be published. But a bit of a weird little issue with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Questions, councillors, before we enter debate? I have a slight one, Mr. CEO. You do note in there that Wagen is operating at a loss, for want of a better word, as you've written there. You haven't actually given them the numbers of the loss, deliberately or not. Do you think it would be worthwhile if we outline the numbers of the loss?
I think one of the parts is that at the time we prepared the submission, the known, the 25-26 loss was not known for CHSP. It is known now, and certainly we can update those figures. I would also, we do actually have a meeting this week with Senator Cox, WA Senator, who formerly was part of this Senate committee, and obviously has an interest in home care, and is meeting us to discuss home care. That actually was the senator that reached out to the Shire. So we've prepared a fact sheet for the senator, and that details those elements of the loss, or at least the amount of money that we pay back to the Commonwealth through that CHSP process.
Right, so that will be known. All right, thank you. Okay, councillors, in your hands, how do you wish to deal? The recommendation, page 134, moving, Councillor Kilpatrick. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Longmuir. Any further questions? Any dissent on the motion? Declare that carried 5-0. Move along, item 8.1.7. This has been ongoing for a while, Mr. CEO.
Yes, it has.
How do you wish to deal, councillors? Questions, queries, first of all? Anything you need to expand on, Mr. CEO?
Not particularly. I think the officer's got
Written
details
pretty
that,
much, yeah.
what's been occurring in that space.
The alternates for parking for those houses is challenging.
Yes, it is. And in fact, the officers have actually received, it's not in the officers' report, it should be that we've actually received complaints from neighbours in that area about each other blocking that laneway with all manner of stuff
At the back.
at the back.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's, yeah.
Right, okay.
All right.
The going down the line of actually putting the other lines down there, I couldn't quite work out the extent of of where that would be. Was it sort of really opposite the road, the section, or?
Yeah, so the officer's proposal, if the council would be run from Vesper Street, probably through to the length of the street down to Key Dive for,
That's why I read, and I thought, oh, that's a lot, and I didn't think it needed certainly be that much.
no, I don't know that main roads, this is an assumption on my part, but just with the engineering perspective that main roads tend to apply to things, I think they would be likely only to approve it in a kind of a set street-to-street
Right.
manner. But certainly if council was to pick a point, then that's what we'd go to main roads with.
You're thinking, Councillor Kilpatrick, from the Vesper Street intersection to the, what is that, Vernal Street?
Well, I'm actually thinking we wouldn't go down that path, but I was just trying to work out what would happen if we were to go down that path. I'm quite happy with the recommendation that's there.
Okay. And main roads may fine tune our request.
Yeah, main roads could completely reject it, could accept it wholesale, could choose to amend it. But they certainly, in terms of answering the question of how you would do it, they said you go for resolution of council in order to start that.
Okay. But I could certainly make a case just on the west side of Vernal, or the west side of the intersection of Vernal, from there to Vesper is a challenging part. The rest of it going east of there,
It's fine.
it's not an issue.
No.
But where the main roads would block in a small section.
Yeah, that's part,
That's the issue, yeah.
Best we try for it all and then none. Do you think?
it's up to council. I'm not sure.
All right, council. Officer's recommendation. You're moving. Councillor Reid has moved as written. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Longmuir. All right. Could cause a little bit of feedback. Is there any dissent on the motion? If not, I shall put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried 5-0.
140.
Okay, 140. Okay, yes, consultation proposed disaster recovery funding framework. This has been rattling around for a while at state level, Mr. CEO, and it's high time that there was an improvement on this, I suppose would be my way of putting it. Do you wish to add anything to your document?
No, I guess the officer's suggestion of the submission is that perhaps what has been proposed isn't necessarily that improvement,
No,
for us at least.
yeah, that's right. What is being proposed doesn't look like an improvement, and I'm seeing on the edge cases several local governments that are making the same statements.
That's
so
correct.
We're certainly not alone there, that this is a operational change rather than operational improvement, as far as we're concerned. Yes,
I've
Councillor
just got a
Reid?
question on that,
Sure.
that amount, and surely I'm not the only one thinking this, is the higher you have the threshold, the more claims people are going to be looking for when they do have a claim. Whether you line up experts, consultants or whatever to justify your claim, it's pushing every claim higher.
artificially
Yes.
rising the claims. Perish the thought. I can't say. What I do know is the other part of where this is not being operated particularly well is in cyclone areas, like where they, have more frequent cyclones. At the moment, they can't apply for the betterment of the structures, so they can only rebuild it to what it was. And if it's not coping, it just gets flattened again. And all they can do is rebuild it again. And so there's a lot of talk out there about, well, surely we could put into this process the ability to actually improve the thing so it doesn't happen. There's no funding capacity, I don't think, under the system to allow that. So they can only ever build it to the standard that it was. Silly. So, yeah, there's a bit of work that's got to be done on this, unfortunately, to get it there. Whether this round will achieve that, I don't know. I also know, for your information, I think it's the Shire of Yalgoo have been fighting for funding through this for 2 years, and so their financials, not for last year, but for the year before, still haven't been verified by the Auditor General, because their finances haven't been finalised for nearly 2 years now. I think it is, and it's to do with this particular funding deficit that is leaving that local government in a perilous situation. So it does need change, I guess is what it amounts to. And I think, Mr. CEO, you've recognised that in your report.
Yeah, I've used some fairly strong language to describe the Commonwealth Government as potentially an unscrupulous insurance agency, which...
Yeah, subtle but well put.
No.
All right, there's a recommendation there, councillors. Councillor prepared to move on the recommendation. Councillor Chilcott, as written. Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Reid. Any further? You're very quiet. Councillor Kilpatrick, you're not sure?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
So, no, all good.
Okay, any dissent on the motion? Declare that carried, 5-0.
145.
Okay. Item 8.1.9, proposed group dwellings for Omdurman Street. A extensive recommendation there. CEO has declared a impartiality interest.
I have.
Do we all have to then?
Each member to declare their own, but, it is very common for councils to obviously approve their own developments, and I've not seen interest being declared in that nature. I would direct council though that one of the things that is listed in the officer's report is the differences between the provincial officer's report versus the independent consultant's report, and that's one of the reasons I've gone as far as declaring impartiality interest in this, is to be very transparent about that.
Yeah. All right, councillors, there is a recommendation.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah.
Councillor Kilpatrick has moved. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Longmire. Any questions? Any dissent on the motion? If not, I shall put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried, absolutely. And yes, exciting. Let's get it underway. There's my next page, Mr. CEO.
Just on those buildings, there was talk, just a question really, but the sewer line back to the main street looked like it was going to involve, and sorry if I missed it or in the diagrams, but is the sewer from the back, are you building it up quite high? Is that what's been planned?
Mr. President, yes, there is a degree of, certainly that the rear house, well, both houses are going to be slightly raised, but the back one will be probably raised a bit more than the front one raised. So yeah, just to get the ability for sewage from the back house, well, both houses going out to the sewer at the front.
Yeah. How much? Do you know how much above current ground level?
About 960 mil.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the floor level.
Yep.
That's what I worked out on the plan that we had.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've had some bit
Yeah,
of
bit.
the meetings on site with the developers and the like.
Right.
The groundworks, as you'd expect, identifying a few little things which we are working through. But there are no fatal problems at the moment.
Right, fair question.
Yeah.
Councillor,
Yep,
happy with that?
yep, I just know it was a bit of an issue. we were talking
Sure,
about.
yeah. Yeah, given the slope of the block,
Yeah.
quite right. All right, we'll move along, councillors, on page 191. Item 8.1.10, tender for electric vehicle charging station. A recommendation there. Mr. CEO, I noticed in this that you've put the sites to the front, fronting Tutto Street. Is there a reason? Because what I do know is when that parking square was developed, there were two sites sort of designed and reserved at the back of the old library specifically for this task.
Oh, right. I was not aware of that.
Possibly unaware of that, that's what I thought. I don't know the changes that plus or minus, whether would we be, which would be the better?
I guess, Brendan, the one thing that the site charge has not done yet, is actually inspect the site physically, and so I might reserve a final decision in terms of where the placement would be based on the feedback from them in terms of the works that would need to be conducted, if any works would need to be conducted. The power from the sign is kind of we know if we can get power to the sign, we can get power to a charger. So it may feed off that line, or it may be feed off somewhere else, depending on where the pipes are, as it were.
Yeah, okay. All right, so the actual location may be subject to change.
In that lot, but in
Right.
that particular lot.
Okay,
I don't have any problem with it being in the front either, or the back, whatever it suits.
yeah. Yeah, well, I just look at it at the front, it's sort of those particular parking bays in that site, if any of that site's being used generally by the shoppers in the main street, it's those ones right up front. So
Absolutely.
if we then push, virtually no parkings there other than charging, we're perhaps pushing people a little bit further away. And as you know, people love to park inside the shop rather than walk any distance. So, just my thoughts. You've noticed that as well, Councillor?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
Mr. President, I might just note, and it should be in the office report, and apologise if it is not, this won't happen tomorrow.
Okay.
I think their business model is that they take away our support and they go and get Commonwealth funding. It's kind of inherent into their business model.
Okay.
So that's, a couple other companies we've spoken to have asked us to go do that work and go get the money for the Commonwealth for them, whereas their business model is the reverse of that. So it won't be happening overnight, but, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I do like this model, I do have to say. Councillor?
Doesn't move it.
You're moving on the recommendation, thank you. Councillor Reid has moved, Councillor Chilcott seconds. Is there any more discussion? Any dissension? I shall declare that carried, 5-0.
204.
204, okay. Yes, item 8.2, Deputy CEO's activity report. And there's a recommendation that council receive. Said report, Councillor Kilpatrick moved, Councillor Reid second. Mr Deputy, anything you wish to expand upon?
No thanks, not this time, Mr. President.
All right. Any questions of the report, councillors?
No.
Can't let him get away that lightly. There being no questions, I shall ask, is there any dissent on the motion? If not, I'll declare that carried at 5-0. Next item being,
212 is the taken.
item 8.3.1, adoption of council policy, rates financial hardship, and this is just a renewal of the policy, Mr CEO?
I believe, in the matter of finance, I believe we had the policy and then it went away for a bit?
No, there's never been there was a financial hardship, but it was to do with COVID. So
Yeah, okay.
we haven't had an actual generic financial hardship policy.
So the actual policy we had contained a
It was-
time frame
It was
around.
specifically for COVID.
Right.
Yes. So it's
So
been
new.
remote now, yeah.
Okay. All right. You moving, councillor Reid? Moving on the recommendation. Councillor Longmuir, second. Any questions? Relatively straightforward.
Did anyone use it during COVID, or did anyone apply?
I'd have to take that on notice, I'm
Oh,
not
it's-
sure.
Very minimal, I think, if any, but can't recall. All right. Any further? Is there any dissent on the motion? If not, I shall put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried absolutely.
223.
Sorry?
223.
There it is. 8.4. 8.4.1, there's a recommendation that council notes the manager of works report. Councillor Reid has moved, do I have a seconder? Councillor Longmuir, manager of works, anything you wish to expand on?
Just that we're not quite halfway through our maintenance grading, so need some more rain to keep going. So yeah, and all the slashing's been done. Those FarmBot remotes, we've got them installed, and the flow rate works beautiful. We just can't get the depth rate to come through the computer here. So the company in Perth working with us to try and make that work. Yeah, and everything else is in order that says. Yeah, we're going to start rubber treating Robinson Road probably Thursday, and then do Lime Lake after that. After they finish grading up there, we'll shift back in and do Lime Lake West. Get that one done.
The Bush Centre's also got busy doing spraying around town,
Yep.
Including the tip, I believe,
We've done the rubbish tip, that's
Yeah.
complete.
and we'll be arranging for our green waste burn in coming weeks as well for
Yeah,
each
couple of
two.
weeks, yeah.
Removal.
A lot of the green waste out there's been burnt. It's just all that wood and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried a new brew around town that Councillor Longmuir gave me, so we'll see how that works.
Cool, no pressure.
We've used it all now, so.
He's an excellent client. He actually did what I said like within a few days, which was very refreshing compared to most of the
Probably follow instructions too.
Yeah, just hard to raise. No, it was a good, yeah. Well, the regional roads group and an issue we've discussed mainly outside of meeting hours about the resistant weeds. It was seeing it in town, nothing like seeing weeds that have been sprayed with a brew that used to work, and then seeing them green as grass, having survived sprays, really sharpens your focus. And so we've gone with the brew, but it'll work best when it's done again in April. So I think it'll have some effect this time, but it'll work really well when it goes on in April next year before things start to grow, which is, we've chosen, especially for town, a tree-friendly brew, mindful that could get rather political quite quickly if trees started dying.
Oh, yeah.
And the Rural Road brew you give us, we haven't had time to get into that yet, but we will. Yeah. So,
Mr. President, I might
Yes.
also just quickly observe that obviously we took there were some community concerns at the earlier in the year regarding the state of the Oval. I think the Oval is looking fantastic at the moment, and I've been tripping around other shires in recent times, and as you're prone to do, is Bo Pig at other ovals, and I think we're doing very well in that space at the moment, despite the fact it's been a little bit dry.
Right.
The ovals looking pretty darn good at the moment, so
Right.
commend the team for their efforts there.
It's not too hard to land on, councillor Longview.
I've been falling on a few ovals around the Shire or in the region recently, and Wagens is very good, very weed free. There's used to have quite a bit of cape weed on it, but there's it's all grass and yeah, it looks very good.
Right. Good to hear. All right. Questions, queries? Just a thought, if I can, just manager is the dams. You've got written here 3/4.5. Is that about where we normally be this time of the year, do you think? Because it's been damn dry. How are we going
Yeah,
for?
they're probably a little bit just under, but that's about right.
Is it?
Yeah, and, 'cause we, like I said, we catch a lot of water just off the streets. And those solar pumps, I've only just turned them off.
Okay.
They're the best thing we've done was put them in.
Right.
They pump some water.
Yep. I can see the amounts there.
Yeah.
So I figure we could be ahead of schedule or not.
Yeah. If the rain keeps coming, it'll be good, because, you know, like the Brownlow White Dam now, we're just pumping it out and putting a bit more in the bowling club to get it back to half.
Yep.
We're hoping we're going to get more rain, then we'll fill the level two up. And we'll have plenty of water.
Yeah, okay.
Touch wood. Yeah.
We also have been continuing to liaise with Watercorp about their desal project. It is one of these things that has gone from May to June, June to July, July to August, August to September. But we are rolling out the red carpet for them, and the results of what we are seeing from those farm remote monitors are very, very exciting. Even if we only were to get 30% yield from that, it would make a demonstrable change to the amount of water we're able to not have to pay for.
Okay, terrific. And last but not least, Punderpin. All good?
That's going to take a good maybe 2 or 3 years before that gets back up to where they're over, or they haven't got notified to where the level is.
Right. So,
The pump's still up on the sand. It's not good at all.
okay.
Because a fair bit got taken out. I think last one was up there and checked it in May, April, May, I think it was. There was only about 300 million water, the whole thing.
Right, so were we to fill all the rest of the dams, we can start pumping it up there?
Yeah, I've got a pump, it'll pump up there. Yep.
Right.
It's all controlled, it's got a swing a valve over.
Yep.
We done a trial run, what was it, 12 months ago, I think, and yeah, it worked fine. Yeah.
We do have ownership of Punderpin by...
No, not yet, so...
I thought that.
They did request that we cease our temporary trial at that time, but look, after they did the works, Watercorp did come to us and said, and asked whether we wanted to have an interim arrangement for transfer of responsibility. I didn't see a lot of net benefit to the Shire for that, because at the moment we can, the current arrangement where we can draw on the water that is there with a low-risk environment has a better appeal than being able to draw down the water and be responsible for all the complexities associated with that site. So until that site is ready to be transferred with a nice neat bow on it, my suggested option for the council would be to continue to have the existing arrangement, and Watercorp decided that was too hard and went away to think about it again. So status quo is good for us.
Okay, well, that's all right. That's all right, that's as good as we can be. Hopefully we can get all the other dams full and then have excess water that we might need to put somewhere.
I'm sure Watercorp would not have a problem with us pumping the water back up. It was more to do with us pumping up water at the time that they were trying to empty the dam in order to do the works to fix the dam.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, anything further, councillors? No, nothing else? All right, thank you. I have a motion for Councillor Reid, Councillor Longmuir, Councillor Noakes to report. Is there any dissent? If not, I shall declare that carried 5-0. Okay, we'll move on to item 9. Motions which previous notice has been given. There are nil. Questions by members of council which notice has been given. There was one which has been answered. No further. Okay, urgent business.
None.
Around the room, confidential business. There is a couple of confidential items, councillors, so I'll take a motion from councillor Chilcott to close the meeting to the general public. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Kilpatrick. You're welcome to wait for us shortly and we will join us for a drink afterwards. If not, thank you for your patience. There being no dissent, I declare that closed. Carrie? Closed.